Relationship issues?
Relationship talk.
On 702.
Today on our relationship feature, we are discussing the importance of dating in your league. What are the advantages of that? And what are the disadvantages of not dating in your league? Whether it's financial, emotional, spiritual, intellectual, you name it. And I want to know if you have ever dated outside of your so-called league. And how did that go? I mentioned earlier that we've got so many movies that have been shot about successfully dating outside your league, you know? And as a society, we've somehow romanticized the notion of whether it's Cinderella and her prince or the Queen and the Frog. And on some level, the thought of ordinary people getting together with extraordinary people gives us that warm feeling. But not many of us know that these are things of dreams, right? And of course, it does work it does work in some way in the real world. But how does it work for you? And it's not a general, probably an exception to the rule. So I would like you to share your own experiences, because there are some of you that have dated or married people that you thought you were just at a basic level not compatible with each other on whatever metric you've used. And yet you've managed to actually survive and keep that relationship, and that marriage is still very much strong today. How did you get to do it? But some of you have tried to be more experimental. You decided to go with people you're not compatible with, whether emotionally, financially, intellectually, in terms of religious values, you name it. And it just didn't work. It was a disaster. Share your experiences with us by calling us on 011-883-0702. The WhatsApp line is 072-702-1702. Dudu Nhlabathi-Madonsela is a relationship coach who's going to guide us through this conversation. Dudu, welcome back to the show. Good morning.
Morning, how are you?
Good. The last time you were here,
yes,
that's actually when this topic was born, right? Because you made a statement which I thought was quite key. And every time we talk about, so there's a group of people I call the Know My Worth Brigade.
Yes.
Right? Mm-hmm. These are the people who say, oh, I don't date people who are like this. These are the kind of people I date. But those people also tend to wait forever for that person because they're too rigid with their expectations. So they don't think, oh, you can have this, but maybe it could be complemented by this. If you don't have this, but you've got this, that could maybe work. Can you help us frame this conversation and help us understand, does it work when you are with someone who's compatible with you? Does it work when you're with someone who's not compatible with you?
So, two things. I think the second part, does it work when you have someone who's compatible with you? Mm-hmm. We usually gravitate to people who are more like us. Mm-hmm. And this is not even just with regards to dating, even across, like, we hire people like ourselves, we're more likely to gravitate towards those people. And I think last time we discussed that it was all about values. And we also went deeper into just understanding what informs your values. And just to give the listener a recap, it was all about how you're socialized and also the environment that you're brought up in, what you've observed as a child. And this is why your class, in terms of maybe your religious beliefs, your outlook on the world, shapes who you are and really shapes who you choose as a partner, right? But also in terms of the Know My Worth Brigade, the first question you've asked is that, are they standards rigid? They are, but they also don't know their worth. What they base their worth on is an incorrect view of themselves. And this is the reason why they can never find somebody who is also attracted to them, because that incorrect view is based on only a singular view of themselves, and they do not encompass what the worldly view is about them. And I'm going to explain this. I'm going to get a little bit technical. There's something called the Johari's window. And Johari says, there's parts of you that you just understand, right? Nobody else has insights into you in terms of who you are. And then you have blind spots, which everybody notices about you, but you don't have that view. And this is the perception people have. And then that's that in the middle. The real you, the part that you just only understand about you, and the perception. And that's really what your I Know My Worth should be based on. This is really now what I call your dating market value. And what is a dating market value? I always explain it like this. And I say, in any society that you live in, we assign certain traits to being desirable, right? So if, for example, it's Clement, and Clement doesn't have 700 baby mamas, therefore he doesn't have 700 kids out there and so forth, and he's responsible, and he is a respectable member of society, right, or whatever. That increases your dating market value. So your dating market value is not only based on your looks, but it's based on what society deems desirable, right? And then we assign it on a metric, I always say between 1 and 10 when I speak about it in my book, right? So let's say, for example, Clement, we say Clement is an 8, right? If you combine
8 out of 10.
Yeah, an 8 out of 10. If we combine this, because human beings are highly aspirational beings, Clement wants to be with a 9, will be fine with an 8, and will settle with a 7. And God forbid he ends up with a 6. So everyone is walking around with the perception of, I want to end up with a certain type of guy. That's why we have always a certain type of girl, right? That's why you have high value this, high value that, and so forth and whatever. But in order for you, I always ask people, are you a type? And this is where the know your worth brigade suffers with. Because the person's walking around convinced they're an 8, right? And they say, I will not entertain 6s and 5s and so forth. And those are the guys that are approaching that particular person.
Yeah.
And those are the guys that really would potentially make this person happy and commit to this person. But because this person strongly believes that they're an 8, they only play with 8s. And what we really see as dating coaches is that, especially for a lot of women, the 8s will play with you, but they won't marry you.
Okay, so I mean, you hit me at, are you your type's type?
Yes.
Because it's easy for us to go, yeah, my type is this. But are you actually that person who's got that high, whatever, dating market value? Can you be compatible with them? Here's where sometimes I get confused, Dudu. You've got people who will say, I do want, let's say, a 9.
Yes.
They get or whatever, an 8, and then it's someone who's respectable, someone maybe who loves God, because to them that matters. Yeah. Someone who doesn't have drama.
Yeah.
But then once they start dating someone like that, they're like, it's a bit boring, because for some reason, some women are attracted to like be a bit of a thug.
Yeah.
They sometimes even say that
Toxic attachments.
like a little bit of toxicity here and there. Don't just be too soft. It's like, but you wanted an 8, and based on your own value and the boxes you were ticking, this is exactly the man you wanted. And now you want a little bit of someone with an 6 would have offered.
Yeah.
What is that? I've never really understood the psychology of that.
They are reverting to what they observed as desirable as a child, even if they were not told that. So what you find is that a lot of people from toxic attachments, they can do all the work. They go to therapy. They define that I actually want to be with this type of person. Then they find that person. They don't know what to do with that person because they associate drama with love. So if you grew up in an environment whereby, you'll hear women saying, he hits me because he loves me. And to a lot of people, that is bizarre. But her idea of is that, for example, there are people who believe that if I want to reprimand a child, I have to hit a child because I'm correcting behavior. So she believes that this guy is correcting behavior. And the only reason why he's correcting my behavior is because he's still interested in me.
And if he didn't care about me, he would have just let it go.
He would let it go, right? So they stomach this and they see that as normal in their life, right? And then maybe society, therapy or something like that says actually, or maybe something happens where they're beaten badly by a boyfriend and they start doing the work. And then they meet a guy who wouldn't even touch a fly. Like he would not even harm anything that moves, right?
Yeah.
And then they're like, this is boring.
Yeah.
And simply because they still associate love or being reprimanded in the most violent way with love.
Okay, 17 minutes after 11 o'clock. We're having a conversation with Dudu Nhlabathi-Madonsela, who's a relationship coach, this morning about compatibility. And I want to know if you have ever dated outside of your league. And as Dudu explained, we all have, so all of us do have a dating market value.
The market assigns one for you. Whether you have assigned one for yourself, we assign. That's why they say you walk into the room and people have first impression is the first 4 seconds. It's a market value that's assigned to you. whether you're conscious of it, whether you agree with it, whether you don't like it, and hence why in many spheres of life, be it corporate and so forth, they'll say, have an executive presence. Because they understand the psychology that you must appear as you want to be perceived. How do you manipulate those things in the background so that you appear the way you want to?
Is that why some of the ladies actually used to call in the station and say, if you're looking for like a decent, gentleman, go join these running clubs in Sandton, or go be part of a cycling club, or go spend some time at the Bryanston Country Club,
and look a certain way.
And absolutely. And even take up golf lessons if you can, because they think that, those are the high valued men that they can meet because, again, as you say, market value.
Because what society has said, especially in the African context, that meaning that a resourceful man is an attractive man. So if you look at, for example, those sports, access to those sports, yes, people might say running is cheap, but I mean, if you're going to be in an organized running club,
not much running shoes.
Exactly. And if you're going to be in an organized running club with trips and so forth and whatever, you can already assume where the person sits on the value chain based on the sport that they take up, right?
So why is it then to do that? There are some couples out there who are completely different. Like growing up in my family, my relatives, I do remember there was a particular aunt. Well, there was a particular relative, a female, who didn't really have education, probably has matric. Who then meets this man who is very educated. And they got married and they're still married today.
Because at the core, they're the same. So from an outside, we look at these people and we say, oh, they are so different.
They're so different.
And there's a couple of explanations. So I'll make an example with my late dad and my mom. My dad walked from Swaziland to South Africa. So that's the level of poverty that he came from, right? And whatever. And my mom is a sophisticated snob, right? And she's all about this nice life. Like she's the soft life girl. When people used to look at them, remember, I also remember when I was growing up, I used to be like, how did this man end up with this woman? Because I mean, this woman is like complicated and this man is so
How did they meet?
They actually met. She was waiting to, I don't know where she was going to, and then he gave her a lift. But every time we either used to travel overseas, we used to dine, we used to do this and so forth. My dad was the picky one. My dad was the one who was fueling my mom's lifestyle. So she was an expression of his inner self. So at the core, they were literally the same, right? So what happens is that we meet people and we look from the outside. It's like, I did a post recently and I said, Bo Malome, like the girl for you, Malome. I call any man who's over the age of 35, between 35 and 55, Malome.
Am I Malome?
Yes.
I just turned 35 the other day.
Welcome to the Malome.
I refuse.
So I call them Bo Malome, and then the women at that same age, I call them Bo Rakhaji, right?
Imagine.
Because we are the ones now who are negotiating Lobola and all these other things. But the whole point I said to Malome, I said, Malome, like you guys are busy walking around looking for what do. I'm going to ask you to be accountable. What are you doing with your life and so forth? And this was on the back of the post where I was going on about how the divorced Malumes are just all over the place. They're out of order. And they were saying, no, we're just sick and tired of the restrictions that come with the Dudus. But actually, if you look deep down, you realize like the Dudu ask the tough questions. They ask you this, where are you going? How are you using your money?
Accountable.
They want to hold you accountable.
Yeah.
And I said, deep down, Malome, what you need like a tired Dudu. A Dudu that has seen life and just wants a man and doesn't want a lot of things in life. And you guys go on to say, no, Dudu's tired. But that's your type. That is the woman who's really going to make you happy. So sometimes what you find is you find this Rakhadi in the family where you're like, she's not ambitious or anything like that. Then she ends up with the guy who's doing very well in life, right? But she doesn't come with drama. She's seen life. Like, it's like a matter of, I think when I'm 50, and if I was single at 50, trust me, I don't come with drama. I think my husband will have the best wife in the whole entire world. Because why am I still drama? I've seen it all, right? Like, not to say there's not more to live, but I've got so much wisdom around relationships that the fact that you left your socks there and stuff like that. And sometimes I think these malumas think, I'm going to be happier with a younger woman. No, you're actually going to be happier with a woman who's just doesn't have time to shout at you about your socks.
And the younger woman will shout at you about your socks and will hold one's work accountability and consequence management and
exactly.
and. 23 minutes after 11 o'clock. After the break, we're going to take your calls on 011-883-0702. Please share your experiences with us. Have you dated outside of your league or your level? Whether it's financial, whether it's someone maybe who was emotionally mature or even intellectually. Like, do you have someone that you're just not compatible with intellectually? And how has that affected your relationship and your connection? 011-883-0702. WhatsApp's on 072-702-1702.
Relationship issues
Relationship talk.
on 702.
26 minutes after 11 o'clock. How different are you from your partner, your wife, your husband? How compatible are you? Have you been with someone that maybe people said to you, that person is not compatible with you. It's not going to work. Maybe you've got different value systems. Maybe your religions are different. Your belief systems are different. Maybe financially you're not on the same level. Emotionally, intellectually. How did you manage that in your relationship? Let's start with your WhatsApp voice notes.
Hi, Clement at 702. I must say, dating out of your league, it did happen, but at the end of the day, you end up thinking that the person is dragging you down. So I believe that everyone should just check the situation. Date within your league. If you're dating with below your league, is a trouble, Baba.
Hi, Clement and Dudu. I'd like to be anonymous on this one. I dated someone who's out of my league. People see them as below me, but I've learned a lot from this relationship. I thought my type was someone who's so educated, maybe with a master's degree, has this high position at work, is revered highly by the community and things like that. But reality showed me that that is actually not my type. I'm an easygoing person. I'm very easygoing. I don't like to succumb to societal pressure and things like that. So people are probably shocked about my current partner and how they are and how I am. And I'm just like chilled, very, very chilled. So I really enjoy my relationship. It's more than 5 years now, and I couldn't keep a relationship for more than 2 weeks before that. So I'm very, very happy currently. Thank you. Thanks for the show and a nice topic.
That's fascinating. I love that. But here's the thing, Dudu. Sometimes there is such people like Anonymous are sometimes even scared to talk about their partners because of the shame. Because society then says, no, but you're an executive kokai when why would you be with this person wakokai?
Yeah, and that is true. Any group that you're with. So, for example, if you're with an upwardly mobile group, right, they always have an interest to protect. And this is now, it comes into marriage and so forth. And a lot of females experience this. So, for example, my dad used to say, you can't date an uneducated man. What my dad was saying was that, listen, I've poured so much, making sure that you will be fine in life, you can be independent, you can look after yourself. I'm not looking for somebody who might be a financial burden and take away from that, which I've enabled, right? So what happens is that because it's a protection mechanism, and sometimes with the best intention, but society becomes very rigid in terms of the type of partner that you can invite in your particular space. And I do understand some of the concerns that they particularly have. And because you grew up in that society, so for example, I grew up in a home where you can't bring an uneducated partner home. So imagine now I come and I'm open and I say, I've met this person that I love that really, really makes me happy. Some people have walked away from potentially great relationships because they're so scared, because we're part of a collective. We live within a collective. How the collective thinks of us, especially a collective where the views we value or we want a sense of belonging, is very important. And some people will sacrifice great love in order to belong, and it's human nature.
Yeah, that's not cool. And in fact, I always say love is really a demonstration of bravery, because you are deciding to entrust your heart with somebody and you don't know if they're going to hurt you or not, but you're saying, here it is, brother or my sister, I love you, and you could or could not hurt me, but I'm willing to take the risk. And I think it's so brave for people like Anonymous to say, I'm actually going to be with this person, whether the collective agrees with that or not.
But I think what we also need to be cautious of, so I've seen instances, and I'm not saying this is the same with Anonymous, but whereby somebody enters a relationship because of the fact, or they feel actually this makes sense, because the power shifts to you. When you had somebody as your equal, there was a share of power and sometimes a struggle of power, right? Yes.
Yeah.
And now the power shifts to you. And the question is that, are you responsible with the power shift? Sometimes you might not be physically, emotionally abusive, but for example, when you love someone, you want to see that person grow.
Yeah.
So you might step into some, like you said, his partner's not that educated. It might be because he's never had the opportunities to be educated.
But are you going to support him to
Are you going to support him to be the best version of himself, or do you want to stay there because the power always stays with
Did you hold that thought? Because I need us to get more into that. The power dynamics. It's 11:32.
Relationship issues
Relationship Talk.
on 702.
24 minutes before 12 o'clock. And we're having a conversation on our relationship feature this morning about compatibility, right? Do you think it's important for you to date in your league, quote unquote, whatever that is, in your level? What are the advantages of that? What are the disadvantages of that? Whether it's financial and you're not at the same level, or it's intellectual, spiritual, you name it. Have you dated outside of your league? How did that work out for you? Dudu Nhlabathi-Madonsela is a relationship coach who has been guiding us through this conversation. I do want her to touch on that issue of power dynamics in a moment. But let's go to these calls first. Lesego, let's start with you in Joburg North. Good morning.
Good morning, Clement. How are you?
Sure. I'm all right. Go ahead.
Yes. So I was in the same situation. So my case was, I was dating an older. He was older than 10 years older than me.
Yeah.
Then there was a culture clash. He was working, but my brackets was bigger than his.
Okay.
So there was the issue there is you are not in the same level, and the respect tends to go out of the window from it used to, because I was young at that time. I think I was in my 20s. Then we dated for more than like 8 years. I think the relationship was unconditional, like the love was unconditional. That's why I stayed. But what made this to keep on fighting was the level wasn't we are not in the same level, and he was from another country, culture clash, money wise. So there were so many aspects that made us fight. But regardless of that, I think we took a break, and we kept on coming back to each other because the love was unconditional. We still together. It's on and off. We never got married, but it's on and off. Maybe.
So you could be back together next week, Lisa.
We are back together already. The relationship has gone to 20 years now.
What?
So I don't know what to.
I
know.
Lisa. Just get married. I just did. Just do it. You keep on coming back to each other. Maybe this is it.
Maybe that's you know what. But now I'm more matured.
Yeah.
As we go back and forth, I was growing up and seeing as I was out of the relationship, I saw that what, some of the things I was childish.
Yeah.
As I grew up, I would see where we could compromise, and he went back to school and he's got a profession now. I think it's better now because the money it's almost the same.
Wonderful. All right, Lesego Joburg North, thank you for sharing your experience with us. And Tabi, you are in Johannesburg. Good morning.
Morning, Clement.
Hey.
So, yes. So, basically right now I wish this conversation is a conversation that people had a lot more, and we were much more aware of, especially when we are going into a commitment of like a marriage, because a marriage is something that is a little bit more harder to reverse. It's got a lot of other factors, family and kids. But basically the summary of it is that a lack of spiritual alignment will cost you your dreams. It will cost you your peace, because you got married. I personally got married to my husband right now, and you know, I thought I overlooked a lot of things. I thought, no, it would be easy for us to do A, B, and C because we believe in the same thing. Little did I know that if you're getting married to a person and at that time they are practicing certain things or they're going to a certain church, you must not think it will be easy in marriage to change. So that is why it's important to get someone who is already aligned to what you want. We are not saying people will never change, but at the very least, you will deal with a new surprise rather than now facing the regret. Because now you are really hoping and wishing that this person agreed with, you know, there was more harmony, there was more unity, there was more oneness, and there isn't. He's in his lane, you are in your lane.
Is there a compromise that could be reached in Tabi? Because then if you say, no, you join what I believe, or he says, no, you come and join this spiritual journey I'm on, then both of you may then not want to do that. But is there a way that there can be a compromise of sorts? Or
there should be a way of having a compromise. But some, even at times when you are trying to say, okay, I'm compromising, I'm leaving where I am and I'm coming to, let's meet halfway. You can see that they are not even willing to try anything. They're not even willing to commit to anything new. They are where they are and they don't want to change.
Yeah, that's a tough one. Spiritual compatibility. There's so many things we should be discussing before we get into relationships and we get married and we don't.
But
and then we get the shock of our lives.
Is actually quite, I wouldn't say easy, but it's solvable. So, you know, there was a lot of, as I grow up, right, and I don't come from a very traditional home, right, but now I look at some of the, and I'm talking about traditions, not necessarily culture, because there's a difference between the two. Traditions that were there that our elders knew. And a tradition is, it's less about spirituality, it's about setting up a way of life for people. So, for example, a tradition would be the whole idea of taking a kist to the in-laws, right? It's not a cultural thing, it's a tradition thing. It's simply because you are marrying from one village to another and your parents wanted to set you up because it takes time for them to see you after marriage. That's a tradition. There was this tradition of, the Zulus call it Uyala, whereby when a woman gets married, your aunts come and then they talk to you about marriage and they advise you and so forth. And one of the key things that come out of that discussion, you know, if you really get people who are sound and wise, because sometimes you can get people who already have dysfunctional life trying to tell you how to do things, is that they say you leave where you come from and you become one with your partner. Both of you leave the identities of the other world and you become one. And it was to prevent such things, right? So I've seen a couple whereby they had the same dilemma she had, different spiritual and religious spaces, as you can put it. And they were fighting so much. And then they decided, listen, we're actually going to join a new church. We're going to immerse ourselves in the values of that church. And we're going to center our values around that. And they became so happy. So happy because they were willing to shed their identity. So if you listen to her, she says the compromise she's talking about is, I'm willing to shed some of my identity and come to a place where we can and where we can work together. And she feels that he's not shedding that identity. But it's a decision that they need to make, and sometimes a major transformation. And in their instance, maybe they need to just go and find a new church together.
Right. Nana in Soweto, good morning.
Hi, how are you?
Sharp. Go ahead.
So I'm calling because I have a situation here. Okay, so my boyfriend and I have been dating for quite a long time, maybe let's say 1 or a year or so. And when I met him, he was working, but it wasn't a well-paying job. I was getting paid more than he was, and I was okay because I love him. He's my boyfriend. And I got pregnant and his contract ended. So now he's not working. I have a baby. I work online. So it's not something permanent that is also securing, you know? So, I stopped stop working, I don't get paid. He's not working. And the baby is here. I want him to get work. I'm very supportive. I send him emails. I try to get other people to help us, But I don't know if it's a guy thing. I need help more so from the coach as to, is it a matter of I'm dating somebody who's not in my league, or we are not seeing eye to eye? But he's very nonchalant in terms of following up to find
Is he
work.
applying for jobs? Is he?
He's applying. I've also been unemployed. Applying via emails is not enough. You need to follow up. If somebody said, I can hook you up with the work, you need to be the one who calls and says, okay, is there still something? So he's very nonchalant. I always have to go behind him and be like, did you call that person? Did you find out if this is still going on? Maybe try this. And he doesn't seem keen to do all those things, right?
Yeah, no, got you, Nana. Any advice for Nana?
Shame, man. I feel sorry because this is what a lot of people experience when the guy gets unemployed. Because we have defined the man based on the ability to look after himself, a lot of men become depressed when they lose income. And because because we haven't allowed our boys to explore their emotions, they're not emotionally sophisticated. They don't have the words to express what's going on. And they don't talk to their friends. We talk to our friends all the time in terms of how depressed we are or how anyone is annoying us. So we have counseling every single day with our friends. So this is the reason why a lot of people find that the men, when they lose their jobs, they tend to either become abusive or in this instance probably become nonchalant. That's number one. The other thing is that because men are doers. Men fall in love by doing and women fall in love by receiving. Men are doers. They're action-orientated people. The minute you take over that action for them, what happens to that man is he feels like you do not appreciate the position that I am in. So what happens is that there's a lack of identification, and I don't blame her, right? We don't know these things, of the fact that this man is going through depression. The man is also not recognizing that the fact that he is depressed, and hence this is why he is showing up the way he is showing up. And in an effort to rectify and an effort to encourage and so forth, you are becoming the dictating mother and more than the supportive lover. And he will get to a point where he resents you. So the first step before then is not a job, but actually therapy.
Yeah, don't be the mother.
Yeah, but
constantly.
And I understand they have a child, right? And she sounds like she's a resourceful girl, right? And she's saying this is action. I understand her position. It's not necessarily that she's wrong, but the way in which she is showing her concern is not in the manner that the man receives it.
Yeah.
And it comes back to that power thing.
Yeah, which we'll get to after this break. It's 12 minutes before 12.
Relationship issues.
Relationship talk.
On 702.
9 minutes before 12 o'clock. Dudu, you were talking about the issue of power dynamics earlier. Can you just explain that?
So just to circle back, we were talking about why is it that sometimes because the power dynamic shifts to you, you find the relationship easier. So there's three things that need to be in place for people to stay and fall in love. The first one is security. I must feel safe. That's why people say, I want somebody to be my peace. The second one is attraction, and the other one is inspiration. Where this power dynamic comes in is that 50% of what needs to be placed, you need to feel like you're safe. Like, you know what, you can be whoever you want to be, and that you don't have to navigate difficult power dynamics. And what has happened in the instance where somebody dates down but feels quite happy is because the other person gives them safety. And that's why you'd find somebody dating down but yet cheats with what society would deem their type. Because what happens is that the Dudu looks like she could just be around the corner and meet another high-value man, while, you know what, Ntswaki Yena is very happy with who I am and accepts me as who I am. Even though deep down inside, if I actually had to choose, I would actually choose a Dudu who's not demanding.
So some of us, we end up being with people that are quote unquote below us because we actually enjoy the idea of us holding power, whether financially.
Because it's safe.
Oh,
everybody wants safety, right? If there's one thing, I swear to you, if women are listening to this, if there's one thing that if you provided that in your relationship, safe. You know, when you hear your guy say, hey, I want you to be my peace, ask him to define what that peace looks like. And usually what he's saying is that I want to feel safe. I want this to be a place where I can be vulnerable without being judged. But now an underdeveloped guy is saying, I want a place where I can be vulnerable but not held accountable.
Hi, Clement and the team. I hope this message gets to you. So I really, really am tempted to go and, be around the elite, like you said, Bryanston Country Club. But I'm so scared. I feel like I'm too dumb. I feel like they'll see right through me that I'm not a part of them or like them. So I just stay at home or do nothing, I guess, just sleep the whole day. But I'm so tempted to go out there and put myself out there because, I'd really love to date a guy who's in my caliber. But I'm so scared that they'll see right through me and see that, she's not a part of us, she's not part of us because they talk different, act different, Help me.
Very good morning, Clement and the team. A phenomenal topic indeed. Yeah, Mr. Clem, I happened to be in the relationship of that caliber in the sense that a lady I was dating at the time was a principal, whereas myself, on the other hand, I was unemployed, so that lady was ashamed of telling or introducing me to people as her partner, whenever she was being asked as to who am I or as to how are we relating, she would tell the people that I am her cousin, and whenever we are in public, she would order me to also tell the people the same thing, that we are the cousins. So I had to leave that relationship, because of all that.
Good for you.
Yeah. This is Maxim Q.
Hi, Clement. This is Grace from Morningside. For me, I did go outside what I would say is my league, more of a spiritual person. And I've been focused on, brothers at church, but I was like, let me go outside that, someone who was not that spiritually, aligned. And yeah, it was a long distance, relationship, and we had a lot in common. But at some point, I felt, I could not continue with the relationship. They were perfect in everything. This was also a good person. But I decided I would stop the relationship and go back to, my league. Thank you.
Interesting. On the WhatsApp line, Anonymous says, Clement, I have asked my husband to listen to this conversation you're having because we dated outside our league. Even at our wedding, on our wedding day, family was gossiping about how can these two people get married? They are not compatible. 9 years were great. We have learned so much from each other. He's become the snobbish version of me, and I've become the nonchalant version of him. Interesting. So sometimes you can rub off each other. Hey?
Yes, because you're open. You come in as your two blank canvases instead of, I'm going to hold on to this and I'm going to hold on to this. Once you're open, then you almost find a blend that works for you. But I wanted to say caller 1 and caller 2. The problem is that as much as they seem like they have two different problems, but it's how they've defined themselves. So caller 1, girl, just go join running clubs, go to business schools, do an MBA or something like that. You'll find your men and the confidence there. Like, you'll just fit in. Don't worry, when I just or join a running club if you don't have money for a business school. Just get your employer to get you to business school. But because you've defined yourself as this type of person, you actually, you are overestimating the abilities of the guys that you're attracted to, right? And you might just be a perfect blend with them. Yeah. And the last caller saying that she's leaving a perfectly good relationship because she identifies herself as a church girl, right? It is not about that guy or whether she was dating down or up or whatever it is. It is all about the identity that she's formed for herself, and she must ask herself to what degree is that serving her.
Yeah. We have to do part 2 of this conversation because wow, the calls, the WhatsApps, lots that we still haven't played. So we'll bring you back to continue this chat. Thank you for coming through.
Thank you.
It's 2 minutes
Always a good
before
time.
12.